Go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, hanging in there. Year end, you know.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm recording. Yes, I am recording. Okay, so this is the P2P year-end process training. So let me go ahead and share my slide deck. Okay. All right, guys, so we're going to go over a few important key dates. There's some additional important information that we're going to go over. I'm going to show you how to start preparing requisitions for the new fiscal year using draft carts, just in case you don't know how to do that. I'll go through, and if any of you have blanket purchase orders from last year, I'll show you how to look those up and then copy to a new cart. And then I'll go over just key points for submitting requisitions during the fiscal year end period. And then we'll go over Q&A at the end. Okay, so some important key dates to remember. There are a few that are coming up that I don't have in this slide. So tomorrow is a very important deadline. So May 8th is the deadline for BK001 requisitions that are $5,000 or greater to be submitted in P2P. They have to be submitted and fully approved, which means gone all the way through the workflow. And then non-BK001 requisitions, $25,000 or greater, including Public Works. I know no one Public Works is on the call right now. But those also have to be submitted by tomorrow end of day. And then the next very important deadline is May 29th. All BK001 requisitions less than $5,000 have to be submitted and approved through P2P by the end of day, May 29th. And then all non-BK001 requisitions less than $25,000 have to be submitted and approved through P2P by end of day, May 29th. So just wanted to remind you guys of that because those deadlines are coming up very quickly. I have no idea where the month of May is going. So a couple additional key dates. So June 1st through July 2nd is the P2P global fiscal year in process that goes into effect within the P2P system. So these are very key dates. We're going to be talking about this more throughout the presentation. June 5th is the last day for invoices or direct pays to be received by AP to be charged in this current fiscal year 24-25. June 16th is the last check run for accounts payable for this current fiscal year. So that will be the last day for accounts payable to enter any vouchers that are for the 24-25 fiscal year. And then June 24th will be the last day for procurement to create any purchase order in P2P. So basically after 6/24, procurement will not be able to go into P2P. We will not be able to touch anything again until the July 2nd date. So we will basically be locked out of the system. Any questions on any of those key dates before I move forward? All right. Okay, so other important information. A list of the current fiscal year's blanket purchase orders will be posted on our fiscal deadlines and renewals website for your review. We ask that you do not submit punch outs, for example, Staples or Amazon orders in P2P until the 7/2 deadline. And this is just because all orders, and I'm going to go into this more throughout the PowerPoint, all orders throughout this 6/1 through 7/2 deadline are going to go to procurement for a holding pattern. So if you're trying to submit an order for a punch out for next fiscal year, it's basically going to be held. So all Amazon orders have to be submitted and approved within 7 days or they'll get canceled. I'll go further into this in my next slide. Within that blackout period, you will be able to order through the marketplace, which is great because last year we had that whole like 3-week time frame where we couldn't order anything through any venue. So this year you will be able to order through the marketplace, and I'll go through the deadlines of what goes into what year and what goes into the next fiscal year. So while direct pays can be submitted at any time as they do not encumber funds, we ask that you do adhere to the June 5th deadline. So that payment services can be trying to process those direct pays as quickly as possible to get them into the 24-25 budget. So try to submit the following in advance as they have time sensitive documents. So any blanket purchase orders, annual renewals, IT hardware requests, and IT software requests. So we ask that we try to get these in at the beginning of the new fiscal year. And this is why I'm going to train you to submit these as draft carts so that when that 7/2 date hits, we'll have all of your new fiscal year requisitions in so that we can start getting those processed. Any questions on this? Okay, so like I said, punch out orders. You will have the marketplace available for you to order during this year-end timeframe where we can't order through P2P. So you do have that available to you. The marketplace, because you do have to use your Pro Card, you will have to adhere to the Pro Card deadline. So just be aware that the Pro Card billing cycle for June is May 13th through 6/10. So anything that you order through the marketplace after June 10th will be encumbered in the next fiscal year. So if you need to order anything and you want it encumbered in this current fiscal year, just make sure that you order that before the June 10th cutoff. If you don't order it before the June 10th cutoff, then all of those funds are going to be encumbered in the next fiscal year if you order from the marketplace after June 10th. Any questions on that? All right. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to create a requisition using a draft cart. Get out here, and then I'm going to go into P2P. Share. Okay. All right, so to create a draft cart, I first want to go in and make sure that my shopping persona is on. And then I'm going to go into this little shopping cart right here. I'm going to go to my carts and orders, and then I'm going to go to view carts. Okay. Don't be alarmed. I'm a power user, so I can kind of see a little bit more than you can see. So this is everybody's draft carts that are kind of laying in wait. I created a few yesterday in yesterday's year-end training. So I have a couple here that are ready to go. If you want to start a new draft cart, you basically go here to create cart. And this is going to start a new cart for me. So it's going to take you here to this screen, and then it's going to take you to where you're going to name your cart. So it's very important for the buyers that you are naming your carts with some kind of indication that if it is for the next fiscal year, that it's for the next fiscal year. So when naming carts, I did one yesterday for GLS fiscal year 25, 26, 25, 26. And some of you guys will be doing blankets. Some of you guys will just be doing regular requisitions. If it's a blanket, just make sure you're indicating it as a blanket. So a blanket order is one that basically stays open for goods. Facilities uses these more often. It's an order that stays open for an assigned amount of money, say $5,000, and then they'll just continually use that that requisition to be charging. So like for A1 battery, they'll just charge the batteries that they use to replace on the campus vehicles. They'll just continually charge onto that one blanket open requisition. So if it's a blanket, just please indicate that it's a blanket. If it's just a regular requisition, just make sure you have that fiscal year 25, 26 in there so that we know, so that your buyers know that it's for the next fiscal year. So as long as your cart is named, then you're going to click here to start shopping, and then it's going to take you back to the home screen. And then you would just go in and basically start your goods and services request or whatever request you're doing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start a goods and services request. Okay, and I'm gonna look up my supplier. Okay. And then if it's a blanket order, again, you would indicate yes. If it's not, then just go ahead and indicate no. Okay, and this is not a sole source. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue. Okay, for this example, this is, GLS is the courier service that takes the mail every day to the Antelope Valley campus. So I'm just gonna type that in here. Go ahead and hit notes. Yeah, I do have a quote. I'm gonna put that in for just a set amount. I'm gonna put it in as a lot. Okay, I'm putting in the description. And then selecting the commodity code. Put that in this general services. And then I'm gonna go ahead and hit next. Okay, so just to show you, I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna go back to my carts and view my carts. Okay, so this is my current active cart right here. This is the one I just created. So say I'm not ready to process this and I have this ready to go. I could go further if I wanted to. I could go in and create the chart fields and get everything further ready to go, but say like, okay, I'm ready. I don't want to go anymore on this requisition. I can stop here and this will save this as far as I've gone in this cart. And then I can click create a new cart and it will save this here in my carts. So you can kind of just start building your requisitions that you know you're going to use for next fiscal year and basically just create them, get them as far as you want them to go. And then once you're finished, you basically go back into my carts and orders view carts. And then when you're ready to start a new draft cart, you would go to create cart. This is going to start a new cart and you would start the process all over again. Any questions on that? Okay, pretty simple. All right. Go back to my PowerPoint. Okay. So the global fiscal year in process. So when you're submitting any requisitions between the 6/1 and 7/2 timeframe, all requisitions, like I said before, will go through procurement review. And that is because the buyer has to basically mark your requisition where it's gonna go. So if you have marked your requisition for next fiscal year, the buyer is going to mark that requisition as new fiscal year hold for distribution. So basically what is going to happen is all of these requisitions that you are creating and submitting from 6/1 that are for next fiscal year, they're just gonna lay in a holding bucket. So your buyer will mark that requisition as new fiscal year hold for distribution. It's gonna sit there and it's gonna wait until July 2nd. On July 2nd, the system admins at the chancellor's office will do a mass release of all of these requisitions that are for fiscal year 25-26. They'll do a mass release. So all of these requisitions on July 2nd will turn into purchase orders. And then all of those purchase orders will be mass released to all of the suppliers. We went through this process last year. There weren't any issues or errors with this process. So I don't foresee any issues with this happening again. So all the orders will be released and you will basically see P2P on that day, all of your requisitions transitioning into purchase orders. There is another option. Say, for example, I see Tammy on the call. If there is a situation where we have a software agreement where the vendor is saying we need to have that PO before a certain date or we will cut off service. There is an option for a buyer to select where we can issue those purchase orders early. Just be in good communication with your buyer if that is a situation that you foresee. And your buyer can release those. Your buyer can put that in a different workflow step where we can release those early. But those situations have to be very much where the supplier is it's contractually obligated and they are basically threatening to cut off our service. And I know we did have to do that a couple of times last year. So just basically be in well communication with procurement and your buyers so that we can be making sure we're getting those released so that services are continuing. So basically that is the whole structure of how everything will flow through from this June 1st to July 2nd time period. And then, like I said, if there's anything that you need to order outside of this, outside of P2P, you still have the marketplace option open to you in case you need to order anything outside of P2P. And anything ordered after June 10th will be applied to next fiscal year's budget because of the program deadlines. Any questions on this part? Right? Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show you. All right, so I'm gonna go back into this part right here. Okay. So this is another draft card that I created the other day during training. So this one is ready to proceed to checkout. So again, I have my fiscal year 25-26 that indicates to my buyer that this is for next fiscal year. I'm gonna proceed to checkout. The only other thing that we need you guys to do when you're doing purchase orders for the next fiscal year is right here where it says accounting date. We need you to go ahead and click the pencil and then it's gonna open up a calendar and we just need you to mark this as accounting date 7/2/2025. Again, because all of these purchase orders will be released on 7/2/2025. So we just need you to mark the accounting date as 7/2. So as long as you have somewhere in your cart name that it's a next fiscal year date, you have the accounting date marked as 7/2, this will indicate to your buyer that this is a requisition for next fiscal year. Any questions on marking the accounting date or naming your cart? You can also put it in the comments too, but it's going to be better if you have it in the cart name just because then the buyer can quickly see here and here that this is for fiscal year 25-26.
Hi, Bianca.
Hi.
I'm on a mobile device and I apologize. I'm not
Oh,
able
it's okay.
to raise my hand or whatever. if
Oh, it's
not-
okay.
So I have several contracts beginning on 7/1. How should
Okay.
those be handled?
So I would submit those. I would start getting those ready via draft parts. And then are these ones that the actual agreement date starts on 7/1?
Yeah, they're annual renewals.
Okay. How many of those do you have?
Probably at least 6 to 8.
Okay. Go ahead and let Crystal know of which ones those are, because those are gonna be those situational ones where we're probably gonna have to release those early.
Who do I need to let know? Crystal? Okay.
Yes. I was glad you
Okay.
were on the call, because yes, we're probably going to have to release those early because I don't want any discontinuation of services.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, the last thing that I wanted to show you is copying to a new cart. So, for example, say you have blanket purchase orders from last year, or you have a requisition that you want to basically replicate. So for this example, you would go into my purchase orders. I'm not a buyer. I don't request things, so I don't have anything in my purchase orders. But if for you guys who request a lot, you would go into my purchase orders and all of your purchase orders would be listed here. I have to show you a different way because I don't have any examples in this screen to show you. So basically you would have that screen. I'm going to show you in a different screen. All your purchase orders from the past would be listed here. So say you're like, okay, I need to redo this order for Raymond's Trophy Stain, for example, for this fiscal year. So basically, if this looks exactly the same and you don't need to change it, or there's like a couple things you may need to update in it, you can easily just click these three buttons. And there will be an option that says copy to new cart. When you copy to the new cart, it's basically going to show up as a new requisition for you. It's just going to transition everything into a new cart. And then you would follow the same steps to update it to your cart name, fiscal year 25-26. And then you would just update the accounting date, but that will help save time. So you're not entering all of the information from the start again. You're just having to quickly update a few things at the general information header and then update any line details if needed, but you're not having to start a requisition completely from scratch. So you would have the three options up here. I don't have it right now because I'm in a different section, but the three options would say copy to new cart. And there is a QRG on our website that shows you the steps on how to copy to new cart. So that's a little tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you guys as you go into starting your requisitions for the next fiscal year. So that is all I had to cover with you guys today. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Okay. Well, I will put this recording on the P2P website. And if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You can also email the CSU Buy group email. We're here to help. But this is the second time we've gone through this process in P2P, so it should be pretty seamless. But again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out and we're more than happy to assist you through your process.
So much.
Have a good day.